Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Mountain. And today I want to talk to you about, I think it's a pretty big mistake I made back in the day, when I first started training. And I think a lot of natural bodybuilders make this mistake. And you see it all the time in the comments, right? Whether it's talking about deadlifts or squats or bench presses and stuff. And it's not what you think. I'm not going to talk about range of motion here in this video. What I am going to talk about, though, is the worship of the big three lifts, right? The pyramid of powerlifting. And the fact that this can keep you trapped in possibly just injuring yourself or not necessarily getting the results that are right for you. Now, this does boil down to how you are built. And we all know that there are some exercises that just feel great. You just feel really pumpy and lumpy from them. It feels like you really hit the muscle. And then there's other exercises that you're just hobbling home from the gym after injuring yourself. You just repeatedly just inflame up an area or injure yourself, and it never seems like you're getting these great results. It's more like you're just tweaking stuff perpetually, right? So it's kind of like running into a wall constantly. You're just getting a bruised forehead, but you're not necessarily getting any results. So the one reason why I think people get caught up in this is not just because of powerlifting, but also because people start to chase weight. Now, I am all about progressive overload. I am saying that yes, you need to get stronger in particular lifts that you find are right for you. You need to progressively get stronger or put on some muscular endurance, like some strength endurance with those exercises. Whether that means you're going up in the 1 or 2 rep range or you're going up in strength in the 15 or 20 rep range, it doesn't matter to me, but you do need to, progress at some point, right? But the problem is that if you get too tunnel visioned in on looking at big 45-pound plates on a bar and how many 45-pound plates can you stack on there, and if an exercise doesn't allow you to stack on lots of 45-pound plates, you just avoid it. Obviously, you're going to avoid certain exercises, right? And one of those exercises was one of those exercises that was suggested to me a long time ago when I was only 19 years old and I had injured my lower back, and this chiropractor guy who was training guys for the Olympics and all this stuff, he said, hey, why don't you just do walking lunges? You could really hit the legs really hard. You don't have to worry about the lower back becoming such a weak link. And then from there you can grow legs, right? But I'd see him just doing walking lunges with the 50 or 60 pound dumbbells. And I'm like, well, that's not like 300 or 400 pounds on his back. So there's obviously, something wrong with that lift, right? And that was my simple mind at the time, not realizing that it was just a different type of lift with a lot more stretch and a lot more stabilization. And all the weight obviously is also on one leg at a time. So of course you're going to be using less weight. And because the movement is so challenging, you can really ensure that you push those legs into a deeper level of failure and get great overall leg development. Now, somebody said that I don't show enough leg training on my channel. And the truth is that I just get sick and tired of dealing with the trolling comments when it comes down to squats and all this, and the obsession around full range of motion and all that. But today I'm going to be doing some walking lunges in the yard. And the thing that makes it challenging here is that the lawn is quite bumpy. So there's lots of divots and molehills and moss things, and but in the end, it's natural bodybuilding, right? This is natural training, so here we are. But the one thing you want to do when you're doing walking lunges is to make sure that you warm up properly and at least do a set or two first, just to get everything moving right. Because whenever there's more stretch in an exercise, especially when you're stretching out the groin and so forth, you definitely want to make sure that it's ready for it before you put weight on it, right? So I usually do 1 or 2 sets of just body weight, just to get the knees going, get the hips going, all that, and then I move into some work weight. And I had to do some wheelbarrow carries, I guess you could say, or farmer carries, to get the 70 pounds dumbbells out here and traverse the entire environment up and downstairs and all that to get them out here. But the fact is that could be also a glorified warm-up, I guess you could say. So let's get to it. So when I started to include one-legged squats on the Smith machine, one-legged squats on the squat rack, and walking lunges, I started to notice that my legs increased in size exponentially. There was a massive difference in the leg development I was getting. And at the same time, it helped give my lower back a rest from heavy squat days or heavy Romanian deadlift days and so forth. I was doing, one more leg exercise in the rotation. Now, I'm not saying that every lift is for everybody, but if you're too married to, the lifts that you can lift maximal poundages in, well, sometimes it's because you have a mechanical advantage in those exercises. It's not because you're really challenging the muscles more. Not always. So as much as I buy into the whole systemic approach where you put massive amounts of weight on the skeletal-muscular system, that doesn't exclude challenging the muscles in different ways where you might not be using as large weights. So here I am doing some walking lunges in the garden the other day, and this garden is challenging because it's slanted off to the side. So that's my fault, right? That's my lack of gardening skills or enthusiasm, you could say. Now, one thing I would say is that my lawn, it kind of goes on a slope sideways. But because I'm going there and back, it evens out in the end. But I was wondering why my piriformis muscle was so sore, right? My piriformis muscles in both my ass cheeks, it was so sore. And I was wondering why that was. Well, because the piriformis muscle is the skating muscle. It helps stabilize by pushing to the side, right? And I'm noticing because of the slant on my lawn, I'm using that muscle quite a bit. So whatever, right? Sport-specific natural bodybuilding training. I guess that's what you could say I'm doing here. But yeah, that was a good warm-up there. And then I'm going to do the 70-pound dumbbells. I'm going to see what it feels like. I'm not going to be going as far distance, obviously. That's for the lighter weight. But I wouldn't recommend going super heavy either if you're dealing with an unstable environment. But when I'm on stable ground, I'll use more weight than the 70s. But lately, I've kind of gotten away from walking lunges, so I'm kind of getting acclimated to them again. So it's good for me not only to use moderate weight, but also be very conscious of the fact that I'm not on a stable, flat surface. All right, are you guys ready? Because I'm not ready. But I'm going to do it anyway. So, and the bottom line is that I'm working my stability muscles in my hips and my piriformis muscles and all the muscles that rotate the hips around and everything. And at the same time, I'm doing walking lunges with 70-pound dumbbells. And the last little while I've gotten away from this movement because I didn't really have a place to do it, or at least I was convinced I didn't. And then I said, screw it, I'm just going to do it on my lawn, right? Even though it's lumpy and bumpy, just like me, right? But since doing the walking lunges on my lumpy, slanted lawn, I've noticed a marginal pumpy feeling in the quadriceps and the ass and hamstrings, and basically getting an overall soreness and muscular development in areas that I wasn't necessarily getting from squats and one-legged squats alone. So I not only find that this movement is great for muscular development, but it's also good for stretching out the hips and possibly rehabilitating certain areas, such as realigning the hips and stuff, and therefore helping alleviate knee pain from squats and other movements, because sometimes when you do simple, just very linear movements, you don't necessarily build the muscles in a balanced sort of way. So sometimes bringing in this balance or stabilization factor into a movement can help increase the stability of the area and therefore help rehabilitate the entire area in general. You notice this with rotator cuff exercises, right? If you're doing rotator cuff exercises, you'll notice that your bench press will feel more stable when you're pressing and so forth. So it is important to do some of the rotation type movements. And on that note, somebody in the comments did say, hey Jason, do you ever do any rotation movements, such as, twisting of the spine and so forth? And the truth is that I don't do a lot of that. And I did say that there's not much point, but I'm wrong to a point also, because sometimes when you rotate and you work the rotatory muscles, or the muscles responsible for rotation, safely and lightly, of course, kind of like you would with the rotator cuff, you may actually help increase the stability and alignment of that area. So, if you are noticing that you're having some issues with your hips, or you're having some issues with your knees and stuff, sometimes some rotation movements around the hip or around the spine might help alleviate that issue. Because if there's any instability from the top down, sometimes the body spasms to compensate for that in the wrong area, and therefore it causes joint pain. So yeah, Sometimes I'm wrong, but you know what? That's why I always say, try to find out for yourself what is right for you. And yeah, this path is a continual journey of evolution. And yeah, just keep evolving, keep walking up that mountain, and eventually you will be as big as the Sasquatches up in the mountain. I'm gonna have to take you guys up there. I haven't taken you guys up to the Sasquatch mountain for a while, so I'll have to take you up there looking for some new exercise sticks, because I noticed you guys aren't buying any of my exercise sticks anymore, and that's my fault, that's on me. I haven't done any ads for a while, but I will be filming some new ads pretty soon of the Sasquatch exercise stick 3.1. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's only gonna be, I shouldn't say, it's only gonna be around $79,000 per stick, but I know it's a deal. I know it's a deal, but you know what? For you guys, I thought I'd let you know what kind of deals I give to you guys, because you guys are exclusive members on this channel. Mountain. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I hope this helps you out in your training. And if you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. And thanks to the patron supporters, and take care for now. Mountain.